Well, all right, you guys. I think that's where I look. All right, this video. Welcome to a video on logic, LGIQ. I'll try to write it down, the symbol down for you. And I will be doing a video on finger, GTII, and Go logic later. But this is on LGIQ. Logic. LGIQ. I'm going to try to make this short, which is usually a sign that a video goes long. I know whenever anyone says that. But I want to show you why now is the time to consider keeping or buying logic. Logic's, let me just look up the last trade. I'll tell you that. Logic is trading for 26.27, an odd number. The volume today is 32,000 shares. So what I want to show you is why I think one share of logic today, right now, for essentially 26 cents. The ask is not showing here, so we'll go for by the last trade. 26 cents will be worth a piece of paper from the Aubrey SPAC called the recent filing, the recent announcement. This is not going to be called Data Logic. It's going to be called Collective Audience. But anyway, $1.25 out of the gate, and Logic 40 cents the shell out of the gate for a combined $1.50. So I think you can take 26 cents, turn it into $1.50 over the next, I think this could start either this week or next week. I think it'll take a full month to get this kind of result, and it could be higher. And to be clear, let me just go through it. And I may have it, I printed it out, I think. Let me, as I'm talking to you, see if I printed it out. But last year, Logic announced that they were going, I didn't, I guess, that they were going to distribute the engine of their company, Data Logic, into a SPAC called Aubrey SPAC, ASPA, trading on the NASDAQ. Last trade, that's ASPA. Last trade, $10.95 a share. That price has been set. The value agreed was $114 million, and the price per share at $10. So right now, you're about 9% higher than the original price of acquisition. Okay, so in November of last year, Aubrey and Logic received 85 comments from the SEC on the approval process, the request for approval that the SPAC acquire Data Logic, as I just described. Now, after six rounds of comments from the SEC, they're down to the final one, and it involved basically funding for the closing costs. How were you going to handle the costs of making the deal happen? They've answered that. They answered it 6 or 7 days ago, and normally, I believe it was 6 days ago, checking my notes, normally the SEC comes back with approval in this case, because it's down to the last comment, within 10 days. So any day now, I expect approval for this S4. And this isn't any, this long process is fairly typical for what SPAC's SPACs experience. Sorry about the noise. There's somebody sitting in a car with the air conditioning on, and I can't do anything about it. I just want to get this out. I'm not going to wait for him to move. So again, I apologize for the noise. So I think you're going to get the approval from the SEC for the merger or the acquisition of DataLogic by Aubrey SPAC, and then it's going to de-SPAC and become Collective Audience. I think you're going to get that approval either this week or the first part of next week. So time is short on that aspect of it. They will then put it out for a proxy. I'll just call your attention to two SPACs out there. AURC, Apple Uncle Robert Charlie, and VFS, Victor Frank Sam. Each of these went from the first one from $10 to $60, the second from $10 to $40. I'm not saying that Aubrey SPAC, which is ASPA, Apple Sam Paul Apple, I'm not saying that's going to go to 40, but there's a tendency recently, because of the low floats, of short squeezes when these deals get done. Very small, nothing like we're talking about in Finger or anything like that, but it's just something to be aware of. So to say that again, Aubrey SPAC now at 11, up from the $10 purchase price, agreed price to be paid to acquire DataLogic, could go to $20 or $30 in a bit of a run. Where it settles, we'll talk about. So I told you that today is the 6th day since they returned the comment to the SEC. It's apparently fairly typical. The SEC responds with their answer around the 5th or 6th day. So the answer yes could come as soon as tonight. But today's Wednesday, it could be Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. Okay. So that's my first point. Number one point is that the S4, I expect approval shortly, which will turn your one share of DataLogic, currently trading at 26 cents, into the SPAC, which is now going to be called Collective Audience, but DataLogic is the engine, and then into the shell. Now, my second point is, why is the stock trading at 26.27? Well, it's a unique situation, and just like Brent, Sun is going to be able to turn the last several years of negative experiences in the over-the-counter market, he's going to be able to flip that on its head and take advantage of it. Why? Because the IPO market for these kind of stocks has essentially shut temporarily. So there is deal flow that Brent is seeing that is cream of the crop, and he can pick the best of the crop. So he is going to be able to add companies on both sides of this deal, on the SPAC side and the shell side, which add revenues and add talent, technologies. So this is really exciting. But the dynamic that's going on, for my second point, is that there are shorts out there, because they have been able to read that the engine of logic is going into Aubrey SPAC, the revenue generating engine. And by the way, I think they're going to be well into the profitable side by next year. So they see this shell, the shorts do, and they say, you know what, we're going to just drive it down because we can buy this shell back for pennies. There's nothing there. Well, I want to tell you that the company has been working on a reverse merger target for the Shell Logic. There was an announcement. So many noises here that they did in November of last year to acquire. I don't know if you can read that. I'll read it to you. Logic signs LOI to acquire privately held operating company. And anyway, this deal, they let go. So Brent let this deal expire. My point to you is this was worth 40 cents a share in the Shell. Well, if they let this one expire, do you think they did it because they have worse deals or better deals? And that's the point. I think that even though there's more shares outstanding in Logic, you're still going to get a reverse merger target for the Shell that values your ownership per your share of Logic at 40 cents. Now, that is the situation, that's the opportunity. You have shorts that aren't aware maybe or aren't doing their due diligence. Sorry for the noise, I'm talking over. They haven't done their due diligence, so they're not thinking that Logic is going to get a new company. So you're able to buy Logic right now at 25 cents when the Shell itself should be worth 40, 50, 60 cents after the approval, after this approval process, the proxy, the final date of the acquisition by the SPAC of DataLogic, and then the de-SPAC into collective audience simultaneously, or close enough for government work. I expect Brent to announce his cream of the crop, best of the Ritz choice to do a reverse merger into the Shell. And I think it's gonna be worth more than 40 cents to you. Okay, my third thing I wanna just go through with you. Logic received a research report from Proactive in September of last year, almost a year ago. I just want to go through a few points with you. The number one point that stands out, the author chose to highlight, in the year 2000, 90 cents of every dollar spent on advertising either went to TV, radio, or print. It went to the traditional, your father's, your grandfather's advertising. Today, 6.64 billion, it's probably closer to 7 billion by now, use a smartphone today. So there's been a rapid shift to online advertising, and it's driven the valuation of Trade Desk. Let me show you Trade Desk. Let me show you Trade Desk. Trade Desk symbol is TTD. Last traded for $77 a share. I couldn't find quickly a chart going back 10 years, but you can probably find one. Their market cap today is $36 billion. Right there. $35.95 billion. The other thing I want to show you, Trade Desk, I just want to show you this. Look at the revenues. Went from 48 to, if I get this backwards, I'm sorry, to 77, I think that says, to 203, 308 million, just under 500 million, just under can't read that one. Just under $1 billion here, over $1 billion, and then $1.5 billion in revenues. That's Trade Desk. That's their growth trajectory. Well, very interestingly, Logic just put out their S4, and it contemplated a revenue runway leaving this year at 100 million. So if Logic is able to do what Trade Desk did, just a pale facsimile of that, you could see revenue growing and market cap growing steadily and strongly for the next decade. That took about a decade for Trade Desk. I'll read it to you. Logic provides e-commerce and digital customer acquisition solutions by simplifying digital advertising. Smartphones. The mobile marketing software as a service provider helps brands increase online sales effectively. It owns Data Logic, which is the engine we've just talked about, which is an all-in-one data, artificial intelligence, media buying, and marketing technology platform. It is an all-in-one data, artificial intelligence, media buying, and marketing technology platform. An analyst at Zacks said, Data Logic has positioned itself as the Trade Desk, and we just talked about Trade Desk. Data Logic has positioned itself as the Trade Desk for small and mid-sized businesses, And this affords smaller entities similar digital marketing capabilities as the Trade Desk. And then Brent Sun, you know him, CEO, star of the show, along with his team, added, quote, the Trade Desk for smaller companies is what he called Data Logic, can provide excellent cost savings on ad spending for brands and branding campaigns. Now, he points out with Trade Desk, the Trade Desk, TTD, has had a phenomenal run and commands a massive valuation, yet they didn't exist 10 years ago. That's a quote from Brent Sun. Now they give brands the ability to buy online advertising, bid for and buy ads. Their customer base is Walmart, Amazon, eBay, companies who are responsible for 50% of all online advertising. It is hard, he goes on, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, it is hard for smaller companies to compete, so our customer acquisition technology, Data Logic, tries to provide a level playing field. Our value lies in providing the same tools the Trade Desk does for small and medium-sized businesses, enabling them to succeed against competitors of any size. We provide cost transparency and give them the same set of tools so they can save money, up to 30%, he said here. And it goes on to talk very highly about him, talks about acquisitions that Logic has made. One, which was on a Zoom conference call, they acquired Battle Bridge out of, I think, Kentucky, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And this is a booming marketing company which is adding revenue, and the I think it's a brother and sister, but the sister, she just said, we're so excited to be a part of this team. And you can go look that up on the earnings reports. Okay, so this is all I want to mention about GoLogic. Logic spun off GoLogic 2 Decembers ago, And that's why GoLogic is out on its own. Now this process seems to be in reverse. Initially, Logic is selling its data logic to Aubrey SPAC, and that's where you're going to get value in your investment. Right now, let me refresh it. 25.5 cents you can buy Logic. The acquisition of data logic, look at this, the whole market cap of Logic right now is $24 million. Aubrey SPAC is buying data logic for $114 million. Let me say that again. The market cap, according to Yahoo, right now is $24.294 million in Logic. Aubrey SPAC is buying just data logic for $114 million. And the stock's up, so it's actually closer to $125 million in value. The Aubrey SPAC is up. Anyway, Logic distributed GoLogic. Logic now is distributing data logic to Aubrey SPAC, and it has the shell left. This pattern of having to distribute companies is now in reverse, where Brent and his team have already been picking through the best of the best to find a reverse merger candidate for the Logic shell. And I believe that's going to be worth 50 cents or higher. I used 40 cents here in my example. Okay, let's just finish off the research report. This is old. This said that at the end of 22, Logic projects to have revenue of $40 to $50 million. Well, look at this. Look at this. This is where Trade Desk started out. 45 million, went to 114 million in 15. In 2016, went to 203. In 2017, it went to 308. 18, 477 million. In 19, 661 million. 2020, 836 million. It went from 45 million to 1 billion in revenue in 7 years. In 7 years, and then now it's higher than that. So this is where last year Logic was, their data logic arm. I only want to focus on one thing here. Back a year ago, peers to Logic traded at 2.3 times sales or revenues. 2.3, remember that number. Okay, that's all I want to say about that. I'm going to skip because I was going to go over the Ionic deal and a few other things like that, but I'm not going to because I want to try to keep it short. Logic just reported revenue. I'm going to skip over that. This is the Battle Bridge acquisition. I'm going to skip over that. And I am going to tell you here that Logic just announced their fourth quarter 2022 pro forma revenue was up sequentially, and year over year was up. Anyway, it was $8 million with an annualized run rate of 45 million. That was last year, confirming that trajectory we just talked about. Okay. I just saw something. OTC Markets requests Logic to comment on recent promotional activity. They never ask when shorts go in there and destroy it, but whatever. Okay. I want to show you one more thing, and then we'll get off. Maybe I don't have it here. So I might just have to, I thought I printed out one more thing. Okay, so anyway, the company just recently announced that they project annualized run rate of revenue leaving this year of 100 million. So what I thought I had printed out, so can you just take my word for it? Aubrey SPAC has let me tell you how many shares outstanding. According to OTC Markets, they have outstanding shares of 3 million. If you add in that you're going to receive, and so it has to be issued, 11 million basically shares are going to be issued to acquire DataLogic at $10 a share. Ostensibly, there'll be somewhere around 14 million shares outstanding, maybe less. So if you take 100 million in revenue and you multiply it by the peer multiple from last year of 2.3, that's 230 million in market cap, which is a comparable. You divide that by 100, sorry, not 100, by 14 million shares, and you get $16, $16.50 a share, potentially as a reasonable target for the Aubrey SPAC after this deal is done. So that would be a much higher number than my $1.20 range, $1.25 range right now. In fact, we could probably calculate, well, I want to keep it short. I think you're getting in to this right now at 25 cents, 26 cents. I used 30 at the top. And you're going to get combined $1.50 in the next six weeks or so for a 5x. But the Aubrey SPAC could be worth, instead of $10 a share, $16 a share. And the thing I want to emphasize to you, they are looking at other deals. This has been discussed on conference calls. It's in some of the announcements. They are screening other deals. So I expect that $100 million revenue rate to go up. So what if Aubrey SPAC goes to $20 or $25? This return could go to, instead of 5x, 8 or 10x. That's on the Aubrey SPAC side. The SPAC will be listed, continue to be listed on the NASDAQ. The shell initially will be uplisted, I think, to the NASDAQ, and then with an aim of going on the New York Stock Exchange. Let me just see if there's anything else I wanted to tell you. Nope. That is it. So what I want to tell you is right now, LGIQ is trading for 26 cents. The company just projected that they should leave this year with an annualized run rate of 100 million in revenues. You're going to get, if you buy the stock now, or if you hold it, the SEC should approve the S4 either today, tomorrow, Friday, Monday, or Tuesday, sometime within the next 5 trading days. It then has to go out for proxy. I'm sure the votes are already organized. Then you get an effective date and a record date. Since we're into the last breath of August, I think that process takes the first, even into the second week of September. So you're talking about midway through September, this is all done and dusted. The shell of logic. So anyway, I just showed you where the price could be higher, but I think instead of my $1.14, I'll stick to $1.25 on the uh, uh, SPAC side of what you'll get. So 26 cents, you get one piece of paper for $1.25 out of the gate. That's the value. Where it trades, I can't, we can't know, but I think it'll get close to that or higher, believe it or not. Then you get the other piece of paper, which is the logic shell. And I think that simultaneously, close enough for government work, in and around thereabouts when the SPAC closes and is de-SPACed and begins trading for you. I think Logic will have a reverse merger candidate that should be worth as much as 70 cents a share, 40, 50, 60, 70, something like that. I'm using 40 cents. And so let's call that by the third week of September. So you should get, for your 26 cents right now, you should get 40 cents in a new piece of paper in value and $1.25 for a new piece of paper in value. When you combine them, I think you can turn approximately 30 cents into $1.50 in value over the next 4 to 6 weeks for a 5x return. I believe you can see 10x as soon as exiting, end of this year in Logic. So with that, I'm going to leave it. And of course, this is a much longer video than I expected. But time frame, today, tomorrow, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, SEC is expected to approve the merger, the acquisition by Aubrey SPAC of DataLogic. That'll be de-SPACed into a collective audience worth $1.25 a share that you'll get 1 for 1. And then, well, I don't know what the ratio is. That's the value you'll get per share. And then the shell should have a deal done, I think, right after that, over 40 cents a share. I think your 30 cents becomes $1.50 in value by mid-September. And we should get the first clarity on it as soon as today at the closing of business hours. So that's my Logic report. I think it's really exciting. It's a unique opportunity to take advantage of the shorts mistake. The shorts are like the geniuses they are, selling the stock, the shell, and I think they have a fine thing coming to them. So thank you for listening. I'll go live today, and I hope you can ask me questions. I hope this is at least a primer on Logic and gets you excited to look at the stock, and then you can ask me questions and we can discuss it further. If and when there's announcements, I can have a call with Brent's son to answer further questions. So cheers, thanks for stopping by.